We can speak now to the UDM leader, Bantu Holomisa, about the fire that engulfed sections of Parliament this morning. Mr. Holomisa, very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. Are you at all surprised that such a thing would happen in the parliamentary precinct?
Well, I'm surprised. In fact, we should condemn this behavior in the strongest terms. How I wish that the government will assign top policemen to investigate this matter. It shows some signs that this was well planned. The timing of springing this action by the individual, if he or she is involved. What we also would like to see or hear is this person an employee of Parliament? If it is so, surely we might begin to know, to guess what is happening. And if he or she is an outsider, how did he get inside Parliament? Mm-hmm. Because it looks as though he or she knew the ins and outs of Parliament. So this lack of culture of ownership is beginning to embarrass this country. We have witnessed recently how people are stealing cables for ESCOM, a clear sabotage. But when it comes to consequences, as you know, the word consequences is not in the vocabulary of the current government. Unfortunately.
So today, Mr. Holomisa, we were just hearing, I spoke to the Hawk spokesperson a short time ago where she confirmed this man has been arrested, 48 years old. He's been charged with arson at this stage, also a charge of theft because he's said to have taken some of the materials, they didn't say what it was, belonging to Parliament, and breaking an entry, as well as contravening the national key points regulations in the country. But also today in the briefing that was an hour ago, the Minister, Patricia de Lille, said that the sprinklers, the valve to the sprinkler system in Parliament appeared to have been switched off, even though there was a safety drill that was done at the end of the term for just before the holidays. Does that lend credence, do you think, to the suggestion that we've seen already online that we're likely dealing with something much bigger than the actions of just one person?
Oh, definitely. That's why I tweeted earlier on, before I flew from Cape Town back to Mthatha. I said this person must begin to sing, and he or she must tell us who is behind the operation, because it looks like he or she is not alone. So, but you know, our law enforcement agencies in this country have let us down in the past. Sooner or later, you will see that person walking in the street and nothing will happen. You won't hear anything.
I'd like to pick up on another point that you were making, the question about how a person, if they're not employed at Parliament, was able to gain access to the precinct. Nehau says it believes that this could have been avoided if night shift security was still on duty. They say that was stopped in early December due to cost cutting. Were you aware of that? And do you agree with Nehau that had that not been stopped, we perhaps could have avoided today's disaster?
No, it's not acceptable. It's like telling me that you would give guards away not to guard the house of the president, the union building, the parliament. It tells a lot about the state of readiness of our security forces. They are sleeping on duty from ministers downwards.
And let me ask you about the state of safety, occupational health and safety standards. There was a big story in Gauteng 2-3 years ago. You'll recall when there was the Bank of Lisbon building fire, then an assessment was done on a lot of government buildings in the province which were found to be unsafe. You spend and have spent a lot of time walking the halls of Parliament. Is it a place that you consider to be safe? I ask that in the context of the information shared today by government that even the fire early last year has been linked to an electrical fault, for example.
it might well be that that building was linked to destroying some documents which would have exposed people who were involved in corruption. In this case, in this country, where you have more than 10 to 20,000 police facing charges, you have to be worried, because it might well be that some people would join police force and pose as policemen, yet they are the criminals who are there to carry on their dirty work and who can be hired. I mean, how many people have been hijacked, and it turned out that some law enforcement agencies were involved, which means the screening is not applied at all. As long as you are a comrade, you are deployed, and the rest is forgotten about the security.
Mm. And are the buildings themselves safe, in your view, Mr. Holomisa, for people to work there daily?
Well, I hope it's a wake-up call, and that they would improve the security. And we don't want to see another Safenda story here, where an ordinary person can just come in and assassinate people inside the house. I hope it's a wake-up call.
General Bantu Holomisa, leader of the UDM, speaking to us about today's fire in Parliament. Thank you very much for your time, sir.